Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Monday, February 5th. We are back. We got a 6-game slate, and I really like the schedule for this week because we have a lot of these medium-sized slates this week. No super big ones. Should be a fun week altogether, and as always, I'll be taking you through it all. All right. So before we get into this slate, I want to bring your attention to our promos down there. We got ParlayPlay, Sleeper, Underdog, Chalkboard. You can get up to 1 month free of Line Star through all of them. It is a very easy way to get an extended look at Line Star and come give us a try. You just have to be a new customer to any of them. Use that link, deposit at least $10, and you got 1 month of Line Star. Just please make sure to fill out this form so we can get it to you as quick as possible. Now, let's get into the slate. As I said, 6 games. They're all within 1 hour of each other. So I think it's all in all a pretty interesting slate. There is some chalk pieces. There's some not chalk pieces I like. And we'll get into it all now. All right. So highest owned. That's on DraftKings. We always start on FanDuel. You know, not that many shows emphasize FanDuel a little bit, so we try and differentiate ourselves a little bit and do it a little more than most. All right, point guard Tyrese Maxey, highest owned on the slate, 9.4K, 32% owned, in an absolutely great spot. Do not mind whatsoever going here. 44-point game total is the highest game on the slate, just 0.5 higher than Clippers versus Hawks. Now, I like the spot a lot. There's no Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris is questionable. There's no Melton. But without Melton and Embiid, Maxey just has way more usage. And even with Embiid, he would flirt with, 50 all the time. He has a legit ceiling of, like 70 fantasy points. And at 9,400, I kind of like it, especially in a game that is likely to be fast-paced and have some additional scoring. Next, we got Cody Martin. Cody Martin, he did sit out last game. He had a groin injury. This was 26 days ago, but he did have a little bit of an injury. Not 100% sure if he's going to come back today. He is questionable, but he's been starting and getting some decent minutes here. If he's around 30 minutes versus the Lakers, I like the spot. I don't mind it. I do have one issue with it, and the fact is that he's hit 30 points so far once this season, and he hasn't shown us a ceiling. I do think he has a little more of a ceiling than what he has shown us over the course of, the last 2 months, because his season has been extremely short. So I do think there's a little more ceiling there, but he hasn't shown it yet. He at least has been in high 20s very often. And if he does that, there's not a ton of value on this slate right now, so I don't mind going there whatsoever. Next, we got Spencer Dinwiddie. Look, he's only 5,600, so this price got way low, 23% owned here. He hasn't been very good lately, and that's the issue here. He also hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. I don't know what to do with Dinwiddie right now. He's not playing very well, hasn't done very much. And with Cam Thomas in the lineup, his usage goes down a little bit. So I don't love the spot for Dinwiddie. However, his price, $5,600, is so cheap. I totally understand why you want to go there. He hasn't been this cheap all season. He has plenty of 40 and 50 point matchups, so I understand if you want to go there. Personally, I'm not getting to a ton of them. I just don't really like him right now. I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't like it. Luka's high owned. Emmanuel Quickly's high owned. It's fine if you want to go to either of them. I just don't love it. All right, so my pivots. We got CJ McCollum versus the Raptors. CJ McCollum's just been balling all year long. I talk about it over and over and over again. Fantasy points per minute, 1.07. We also have some injuries on this Pelican squad right now. Not totally sure who's going to play, but I know Zion's questionable. Herb Jones is questionable. If any of them are out, it obviously helps McCollum. However, I do have to say that if Zion is out, it does help Ingram more than McCollum. But I think McCollum is in a better spot, has a little bit of a better matchup in this spot, and don't mind going there. 56 or 7,600, guy that can get you into the 40s, into the high 40s. I will take it at low ownership. Kyrie Irving is back, so we do need to listen to the tea leaves a little bit, see if he's going to be limited at all. His first game back, he went 32 minutes after he had, a shorter delay than he does now. If he comes back, it is only a thumb injury, so he's been able to run. He's been able to keep his cardio up a little bit. If he's playing 34 plus minutes, I think he's super interesting at the spot. He is priced high, but he can deliver. Luka is there, which hurts him a little bit, but 1.33 fantasy points per minute so far this season. And, he's solid. Can't hate on him. But we do need to make sure he's going to be playing the minutes. DeJounte Murray, I'm getting to a lot of him. Look, he's 8.3K. He's not that expensive. He's in the 40s, in the 50s all the time. It's a really tough matchup for point guards. Clippers versus point guards have been very, very solid all year. So Murray may have a little more opening to get to the Clippers than Trae Young today. I do like Trae. I don't mind him. But I think DeJounte Murray is a little bit of a sharper play on this slate. Now, getting over to DraftKings. High-owned point guards. We got Luka, Cam Thomas, and Brandon Padinsky. I can't even say that. It's like Roads. It's a weird word. If you guys know Tommy Boy there. All right, so Luka, look, he's super pricey. Been absolutely crushing it. But with Kyrie back, I think he's priced just a little bit too high now. He can always do it with or without Kyrie. But on this slate, limited value, I don't love going here. If you find yourself there, good for you. I do think he's going high owned, a little too high owned though in this spot. But it's Luka. I will never tell you not to go there. Cam Thomas, 32% owned. I do think he's a little bit high owned, but 6,600, and the guy has just been straight up producing. He's been crushing it. Put up 54 last game, had a 46 earlier I guess it was a week and a half ago. Just an absolutely crushing. And he's in a terrific matchup versus the Golden State Warriors, 28th versus shooting guard. So I do like this spot for Cam. Do not mind going there whatsoever. Think you can do a lot worse than going to him, that's for sure. Now, matchup tool-wise, we got James Harden at the top of the board. Let's go to fantasy point per minute. I like that one a little bit better. D'Angelo Russell at the top of the board. And look, it totally makes sense. This Charlotte Hornets team is awful. They are 12-point underdogs to the Lakers, who aren't that good. And Russell can definitely get to him. My issue here is I think between Russell, Reeves, AD, and LeBron, I think one of them goes off. I just don't really know which one is going to heavily outproduce what their salary is. I do really like the spot for Russell. I am getting to him a little bit. I'm just not getting to him overboard. James Harden, been rolling with him for a little while. Don't mind going back. 8.7K, but guys been in the 50s and 60s all the time. And that Clipper team is just rolling. CJ McCollum, we talked about. Great matchup. Maxey, great matchup. Doncic, great matchup. Shooting guard time on FanDuel. Podemski is highest owned, 41%. 5,700 makes a ton of sense that everybody wants to go here. He has been crushing it. 39 versus Atlanta, 50 versus Memphis, only a 20 versus Philly, and played 37 minutes. So he is a little bit of a GPP play. We know there is a high ceiling, but there's a pretty low floor also. I don't love this ownership, but gotta love the ceiling. He has so many 40-plus point games that I do not mind going there whatsoever, even at this ownership, because if he puts up a 40 burger at 5,700, you're going to have him. Cam Thomas, we talked about. Cody Martin, we talked about. And pivots. So Gary Trent, very similar as Cody Martin. $100 more. We have him projected for, over 2 points more. Much less ownership. Guy, has been in the mid-20s, has shown 30, but has shown 40 plus a few times this year, something that Cody Martin hasn't done. So I do think it's a very interesting pivot to go Trent over Martin, save some ownership, cost yourself only $100, but that's not the end of the world at all. CJ, we talked about. Kyrie, we talked about. DeJounte, we talked about. Klay Thompson, 6,600. He's your, standard dart throw DFS play where huge ceiling for his price, but he's normally not going to get you there unless he gets hot from 3. 7 threes, puts up 51. 6 threes, puts up 39. 3 threes, 4 threes. So he's going to be he's going to need to make his shots. I don't hate the spot that he's in. And I do like the, projected starting lineup the Warriors going with. I think it gives him room to shoot, which is a big plus here. So don't hate it. I think it's an interesting pivot there. Now, shooting guard, high-owned guys, Lonnie Walker, Cam Thomas, Brandon Podimski, Mikal Bridges. All right, Lonnie Walker, 4K. He's getting minutes lately. He's played almost 30 minutes for 3 straight games, and when he gets minutes, he can absolutely produce. It's just, does that continue or not? Does he go back to, his around 24, 26 minutes? Not totally sure there, but you could do worse than going with him. The one thing I would have to say is that with his ownership this high, maybe you want to go away. But I would expect him to play 24 to 26 minutes. We have him at 25 minutes right now, and he can absolutely crush a 4K salary at that price. We have him projected as a 6X value, which just doesn't happen that much. And with that, no surprise that he's super high owned. Matchups, shooting guard. 2 guys we talk about, Cody Martin and Gary Trent, are 1 and 2. Trent is just the lower cost pivot. Mitchell, 9,700. I will say that Darius Garland is questionable. If Garland sits, Mitchell gets a little bit of a bump up. Even with Garland possibly playing, he's still interesting because Garland's only going to play 23, 24 minutes, something like that, as they're slowly working him back into form. Kelly Oubre is popping a little bit. If Tobias is out, Oubre definitely looks a little more interesting. So, and then Austin Reeves, as I said, all the Lakers are kind of interesting. It's just who knows which one's going to go off. Small forward, we got Podimski, Cam Thomas, and Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal, coming off the bench, has got a little bit of play lately. I don't love this spot. I'm actually kind of surprised going so high owned. But he does have a nice ceiling coming off the bench. Has, a couple 30-point games. There's no DFS, so there is a chance of him getting some extra run. So I get why he's getting some ownership. Just don't love the spot. Got to go back to Brandon Miller. If you have been paying attention to this show, I've been on him a ton so far this season. And his price is now 7.3, and I'm still not jumping off the bandwagon. I think this Laker matchup represents a really good spot for him, and without Rozier, without Ball, without Hayward, without Williams, his usage is just real high. And at this point, you got to start talking about him in the Rookie of the Year category. I know he likely won't get it, but look what he did the last week. averaged 28.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, almost 3 assists, 1.3 blocks. He has been playing extremely well. And now he has a good matchup versus the Lakers, so I don't hate going there at low ownership. If you can get, 50 out of a 7.3 player, just sign me up. And this is a spot you absolutely can. And I think that in the current Hornets, there's a real good chance at 40, which is almost, 6x. So I like the spot quite a bit. And we got to talk about Tobias Harris. No idea why he's getting absolutely no ownership, but look, no Embiid, no Melton. He can give you 50 at 8K, mid 50 at 8K, so you got to consider it, especially in a good matchup. You could just pivot off high-owned Maxey and go, Tobias. You're really not giving up much upside. You're saving some money. Or you could play them both. I think both of them look like good spots, so don't mind going there. Small forward on DK, Lonnie Walker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, all Brooklyn guys. Apparently, DraftKings, there's going to be some Warriors Nets game stacks. But, I get it. They're underpriced. It is a high-paced game. Don't mind going with any of them. Small forward matchups, Derek Jones, Herb Jones, Harrison Barnes. They're all popping a little bit. Don't mind. I actually just don't really love any of them. I think they're all kind of meh. Fantasy producer, Jones can be good, but not when everybody's healthy, and that's the situation that it is. I do have to bring up Jones and the fact that he does have the giant ceiling, and on DraftKings, he's only 4,300. So there is definite reason why you'd want to play Herb Jones right now if he's playing. You can account for right around 27 minutes, and at 4,300, he could absolutely give you 7-8x. So don't mind going there on DK. Into power forward, we got Okongwu as the highest owned center or power forward, 40% owned. One thing I got to say about him is when he has started and there's been no Capella, he plays minutes, 36 minutes, 32, 33 in his 3 starts so far this year, 33.7 minutes on average as a starter this season. So you got to say that is, pretty interesting. Don't mind going there whatsoever. I'm going to get a decent amount. I do, in this matchup, hope Zubac is still off of the court. He is questionable today. Zubac does give a little bit of a different challenge, but either way, I don't mind going there. I think the price is right. Versus Golden State, he played 36 minutes, put up 47. He can absolutely get you into the 40s, and most likely he is at least 5 or 6x, so he's just popping in optimizers all over the place. So it makes a lot of sense. Royce O'Neal, we talked about. If you want to go lower owned, Bruno Fernando is likely to back up Okongwu. Now, he doesn't really get minutes unless Capella's hurt. He might get a few. If he gets 15, 16 minutes, there is absolutely a ceiling here. If he falls into, say, 22 minutes because Okongwu gets into some foul trouble, it starts to look super interesting for Fernando. Now, it is a very risky play. He hasn't really played much, so we have no idea how much play he could get, but I would leave him in a player pool, so to speak, and if you get some of it, good. Maybe not try and force too much in, as it is a total punt, but it's an interesting spot for me. Next, we got Maxi Kleber, 4,500, power forward, in a game we really like. And look, he played 34 minutes last game. If he's playing that again versus the 76ers without Joel Embiid, I'm pretty intrigued. Don't mind going there. And he's, one of the few value spots that I like that is cheap in a spot where we're really looking for value. All right, now power forward on DK, Okongwu, Cameron Johnson, Miles Bridges. Look, Miles Bridges at 8.2K on DK is still too cheap. Guy, frankly, is just playing way better than that without Rozier and without Ball. He just gets a huge bump up you absolutely have that 50 or mid 50 point upside with him in a decent matchup versus the Lakers. Matchup tool, power forward, Tobias Harris, Scotty Barnes, Cam Johnson, Kawhi Leonard. Don't mind going to Kawhi Leonard here versus ATL. It's obviously a good matchup, high scoring game. The guy is only 9K still and just been in the 50s nonstop. Makes sense to go there. Center spot, Okongwu and Podol are the high owns. Like them both. Claxton is next, and then Bruno Fernando, a pivot, or Maxi Kleber. We haven't talked about Claxton much. It is versus the Warriors. There's no Ben Simmons. There's no Day'Ron Sharpe. So his minutes should be pretty solid, and he's, been right in those 30s. If there's a close game, he could get 32, 34 minutes, something like that. And at that price, he could totally do it for you. It is a guy that can get up to 50-ish fantasy points. So don't hate it. I just personally am not rolling with too much. I just not really getting there. So far, I'm kind of looking cheaper ways to go center. On DraftKings, Okongwu, Larry Nance, and Miles Bridges. Lance at 3,200 on DK is so cheap. This is a guy that's coming off the bench and in 20 minutes, able to give you 30. If he gets a little extra run, he can really get it going. So there's totally a lane for him to get you 10x. 3,200 is just too cheap for him. And honestly, it's almost like floor is 5 or 6x for him. So don't mind going there. That is if he plays, obviously. And matchup tool-wise, we got AD at the very top, Claxton, Nick Richards, and Valanciunas. AD is in a great spot. I do like LeBron a little bit better, but don't mind going to either of them. Both of them are questionable right now. If there is ever a game for the Lakers to sit somebody, this is probably one, though. So, pay attention to that as we come up to lock, but it is one of the first games of the day, so we should know early. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. Hope you guys have a good one. We will be back tomorrow. Good luck. Let's make some money. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Maybe comment. And talk to you guys later. Peace.